Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. Today's lesson is going to be about multiplying polynomials, and more specifically, we're going to be looking at different types of polynomials: monomials times trinomials, or binomials times binomials. But the key thing that we need to remember here is that we're going to be applying one of our properties of exponents, which is when we multiply expressions that have the same variable, we're going to add the exponents. Okay, so let's take a look at number one. When multiplying is basically like just a form of the distributive property. So I have 6c times 4c to the third, 6c times negative 8c squared, and 6c times positive 5c. Now, one method I like to show is what I call the area model, or the box method, where this is going to be a 1. We have a 1 times 3. So I'm going to have my 1, and then I'll make enough room for times 3, like this. The 1 is the 6c. The other ones are positive 4c to the third power, negative 8c to the second power, and positive 5c. And for the variables that don't have exponents, we can just put a 1 there. Okay. Now, to get what goes inside the box, we just multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. Multiply 6 times 4, add the exponents. 1 plus 3 is 4. For the next one, multiply the coefficients. That's negative 48. Add the exponents. C to the third. Last one, multiply the coefficients. That's positive 30. Add the exponents. And now we can just write our answer. 24 c to the fourth minus 48 c to the third plus 30c squared. Final answer. And that's it. Let's take a look at number 2. Let me use the same strategy for number 2. I'm distributing right here, right? My negative 6h to the third to the 6h to the fourth to the negative 3h to the squared and a positive 8h. So I have a 1 by 3 again. Make enough room for that. My 1 by 3. That might be too far over. About right there. Okay. So I have my negative 6h to the third. I have my positive 6h to the fourth, negative 3h to the second, and positive 8h. Now, for the variables that don't have exponents, put a 1. And remember, to get what goes in the box, we multiply the coefficients and we add the exponents. So that's going to be negative 6 times positive 6, which is negative 36. We're going to add the 3 and the 4. That makes h to the 7th. A negative times a negative is a positive, and that's going to be positive 18. We add the exponents. That's going to make h to the 5th. And the last one, a negative times a positive is a negative. That's going to be negative 48. Add the exponents. 3 plus 1 is 4. So then we write our final answer. Negative 36 h to the 7th plus 18 h to the 5th minus 48 h to the 4th. Final answer. Alright, let's take a look at these two down here. So now, once again, we're just going through, we're practicing, and we're going to distribute that positive 4d squared to those 3 terms on the inside. So let's make our 1 by 3. 1 by 3, right? And we have our 4d to the second power, and then we have our 7d to the fourth, positive 3d squared, and positive 7. Okay. Now, to get what goes on the inside of those boxes, multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. Multiply the coefficients, add the exponents, and multiply the coefficients. In this case, this is just going to be 28, and we keep the d squared. The 7 doesn't have a d for the variable, so we just keep what the 4d squared had. And then we write our answer out. 28d to the 6 plus 12d to the 4th plus 28d squared. Final answer. And number 4 right here would basically be the same thing, except they wrote it in the back, but now we're distributing a negative 4x squared to the other 3 terms. Okay, we have a 1 by 3, that's way too big. Our 1 is the negative 4x squared, our 3 are the 3x squared, the positive 2x, and the negative 6. And remember, we multiply the coefficients, that's negative 12, add the exponents, that's x to the 4th. Multiply the coefficients, that's going to be negative 8, add the exponents, and remember we need to put an exponent right there by the x, so that's a 1, so we know to add 2 plus 1, which makes 3. And now a negative times a negative is a positive, and we just bring over the x squared. So our final answer here is negative 12x to the 4th minus 8x to the 3rd plus 24x squared. Final answer. Okay, let's keep it moving. So now we have a binomial times a binomial. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so really what you're doing each time, we're distributing. So we're going to do 2 times 4, 2 times 5, 3 times 4, 3 times 5. Okay, so if I was making a little box for this, this would be a 2 by 2. So it's going to look like a square almost. There's 2 by 2, and then I would put my 2 and my positive 3 over here. I would put my 4 and my positive 4 and my positive 5 over there, and then I would just multiply to get what goes in the box. 8, 10, 12, 15, and then we would go from there. Okay, so that's going to be the process. So let's take a look at what that looks like when we're doing actual binomials. Okay, so 3n times 2n, 3n times positive 5, negative 2 times 2n, negative 2 times positive 5, so we need a 2 by 2. There's our 2 by 2, and we have positive 3n, negative 2, positive 2n, positive, those should be in blue, let's make those different colors, positive 2n and positive 5. And remember, to get what goes in inside the box, we multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. So that's going to be 6n squared. Then we do 3 times 5, which is positive 15, and the 5 doesn't have an n, so we just bring the n from the 3n. Then we do negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4, bring down the n. Then we do negative 2 times positive 5, which is negative 10. Now, when we're using this strategy here, we're going to add the diagonals because those are like terms. So that's a positive and a negative, so that means we subtract. We keep the sign of the larger one, that's going to be positive 11n. So now when we write our final answer, we're going to have 6n squared, positive 11n, and negative 10, and that would be our final answer. Let's take a look at number 7. 6a times 2a squared, 6a times positive 5, negative 8 times 2a squared, negative 8 times positive 5. Let's do our 2 by 2. And now we go ahead and multiply. We gotta write it out. So we have 6a and a negative 8. Then we have our 2a squared and our positive 5. And for that 6a, we need to add a 1. 6a to the first power. And now we can go ahead and multiply. So 6 times 2 is 12. We add the exponents. That's going to be 8 to the third. 6 times 5 is 30. The 5 doesn't have an a, so bring the a from the 6. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Bring down the a squared. And negative 8 times positive 5, that's going to be negative 40. Now, as we take a look, we don't have any like terms, okay? So we can just write everything out in the order of the exponents. So the largest exponent is to the third, so that's 12a to the third. Then we're going to have the next exponent is a to the second, so negative 16a squared. Then we have a, that's positive 30a, and negative 40. Final answer. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at what happens when we take a binomial times a trinomial, or something more expansive, you know, polynomials. So really we're going to have a 2 by 3, because each term in the first group, which is only 2 of them, is going to get multiplied times each term in the second group, which is 3. So we're going to have a 2 by 3. There's our 3, and here's our 2. So our 2 are 1x to the first power and a positive 8. And then we have a negative 1x squared. We have a negative 5x to the first power, and we have a positive 4. Now we're just going to continue to do the same thing. Multiply the coefficients, add the exponents. So positive 1 times negative, that's negative 1x, add the exponents to the third. This is going to be negative 5x squared. This one is going to be positive x. Then we move down to the next row. That's going to be negative x squared. That's going to be negative 40x. And then the last one is going to be positive 32. And when we look for our like terms, we have like terms right here with the x squareds, and we have like terms here with the x's. So now for the x squared, both of those are the same, so that's going to continue to be a negative, negative 13x squared. And for the x's, that's their different signs, so we subtract. That's going to make negative 36 because the 40 is larger and it's negative, so negative 36x. Now we take all of those terms, this one here, that one there, that one, and that one, and we write them as our final answer. So negative 1x to the third minus 13x squared minus 36x plus 2. And that would be our final answer. And that will conclude, and this will conclude our lesson for today. Adios, my friends.